What up, what up, what up? Football fans all over the world. It is your boy, Mac the Giants fan. Mac the Giants fan. And I got my guy with me, the super dope co host, Adam Costas. This is the real deal. NFC East Round-Up. Punch that intro. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, everyone. I was getting little pop-ups popped up on my computer and it was throwing me off when I was doing that little intro. But you get the idea. We'll get it back together next time. But how's it going today, Adam, man?
Listen, man, my phone was ringing. I thought it was that. It was what you heard in the background. A lot of craziness going on. So, listen, it's the off season. We're trying to work the kinks out for you. We'll be ready to go by training camp, everyone, though. So don't you worry about that.
Yeah, I mean,
But I'm doing good.
once we get rolling, get on a weekly basis, we'll get that engine running again like normal, man, like we do, man. But we've been so in and out right now. It's still a little rusty right now in the off season. We like you said, we get working the
We're on
kinks out,
vacation
man.
mode, you know?
It's May and June for us too, man. You know what I mean? It ain't just May and June for the football for the players. It's May and June for us too, man. We try and get things right for the season, for the regular season. But let's get right to it, man. Let's get to the Washington Commanders a little bit. Let's talk about some of the things coming out of camp there, man. Jaden Daniels is really seeming to be a very mature young man going in there, humbled himself. He understands he has a lot to learn to become a good pro in this league. Not trying to compare himself with any of the big dogs yet. Of course, he's made some comments. He wants to obviously be held in high regard like some of the top guys in this league, but he understands he's not quite there yet. He has to earn it. And hearing a lot of good things about Jaden Daniels coming out of Washington minicamp and throughout the whole offseason program so far. Got a lot of good veteran guys been helping them out, moving them along. They made a lot of good moves this past offseason, adding veterans like Zach Ertz and Austin Eckler into the mix, man, to go along with some of the guys they already had in house like Terry McLaurin, and it's really helping to transition Jaden Daniels up here to the next level, man. I don't have you heard anything coming out of Washington's camp a little bit?
I've heard he's been doing fantastic there, carving up the defense, going on, I would say undefeated, but going perfect in the training camp practices against the first team defense. And the Washington Commanders are headed in the right direction, people. I know we want to talk about and laugh at them, but they really do have a solid start to their new roster, so to speak. They got Jaden Daniels. They also got Sam Hartman, not to mention Marcus Mariota for the quarterback room. Their offensive line has gone up. They got Tyler Badez from the Cowboys. He was a fourth-round pick. That's a huge signing to weaken a division rival. Not to mention Sam Kazi and a few others that are playing along that line. So they're not going to be the same team that we saw. Not to mention their skill position players. Look, you have Diami Brown. You have Jamison Crowder over there who's going to be there. You still have Jahan Dotson. They just got Luke McCaffrey to go with Luke McLaurin, to go with Terry McLaurin. They got Marcus Ramsey, Jack Saint, right, and a few others. Like you said with tight end, they got Zach Ertz in a big move. Cole Turner, they got Ben Sinnott. If you guys listened to us during the draft, he was one of the guys I mentioned that I liked at tight end. He was a high draft pick. So they can do a lot of things offensively, not to mention, like I said, the quarterback who's going to open up many different things. I'm not saying, I don't want to sound, I got to take my Giant hat off and put my NFL hat on. I'm excited for this Commanders team. I think they're going to be interesting to watch. They have Bobby Ingram, if anybody knows who that is and remembers who that is, the old Seattle Seahawk back in the day. He is their wide receiver coach, So they've got a lot of decent guys. Cliff Kingsbury is their offensive coordinator. Defensively, they have Jamon Davis. They're pairing him with Frank Louvu, not to mention Bobby Wagner. So that's probably going to be their three linebackers across the board right there. And then you have Jeremy Chin they brought in. They have Emmanuel Forbes. They brought in Dominic Hampton as a draft pick. They still have a couple guys, Benjamin St. Just, who is not bad for them. So they're going to have a decent team. Does that translate into wins? We will find out. But on paper, they're headed in the right direction. And I'm very excited as a football fan to see what the Washington Commanders can do. And I wouldn't be surprised when it's all said and done and the dust settles that Jaden Daniels is fighting for Rookie of the Year at some point, because I think we forgot to mention Austin Eckler with this team, which is he's a great back out of the backfield for them, and they still have Brian Robinson Jr. So those two backs right there can complement each other very well. And I don't know what Cliff Kingsbury is going to do, but remember he had Kyler Murray, so I would anticipate a lot of similarities in their game in terms of how you're running RPO style, that type of stuff. With Jaden Daniels is a little bit bigger than Kyler Murray. What's going on, Big Blue in the Bronx? So I'm excited. If I'm a Commander fan, I'm excited. I think they have a real good shot at being third place. I know that doesn't mean much in the pantheon of football, but if you think about who's in front of you, right, the Giants are probably kind of on your level, and everybody's, talking ish, at least in the Giant land, how they're going to stomp on the Commander's face. Well, this Commander team is going to be at least fighting for number 3, and I see Rally checks in here. That's AK. He thinks they might even be in second place when it's all said and done, jumping over the Cowboys. So we'll see. There's a lot of excitement, new ownership, new group, and of course, when you're tearing it up in OTAs, I mean, I'm not trying to believe the hype machine, because you know what happens when you believe the hype machine. All I'm saying is, as a new fan, it's kind of refreshing to hear some of the things coming out of your camp going forward, and that's the difference between certain teams. But let's that's all I got right now with the Commanders. I'm sure there's more that we can talk about, but anything else? William Roberts.
Yeah, I just want to say what's up to a couple of people, everybody in the chat, man. Appreciate y'all coming through, man. Daniel Barry, man. Appreciate you always popping in, always number one, man. Definitely appreciate you, my brother Mitch Koski, man. It's my guy Mitch, man. Make sure y'all go sub up to my guy Mitch, man.
Doing big things over hardcore.
One of the co-founders of the Hardcore Sports Network. William Roberts, Cowboys fan, man, from coming in from Facebook, man. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate your energy, man. But we'll see about all of that, bro. We'll see. I don't know. Cowboys always got a way, always find a way to screw it up, man. So we're going to see what y'all going to do this year, man. NFL Reality Check, AK, man. What's going on, my guy? Good to see you, man.
You'll never let them live that down, huh?
Up to my guy.
Listen,
Coach Ed,
man,
appreciate Coach Ed being in the building. Coach Ed, appreciate you. Make sure y'all sub up to Coach Ed as well.
Listen, I've done a lot of things.
Stopping in.
I've done a lot of things crazy in my life, right? And not once have I ever thought about eating poop after my team won a Super Bowl. So I'm just saying, it's kind of funny to think, I would sell this arm, that arm, my ear, my nose, whatever body part needed to go to sell. Obviously, they won without me doing that. But when they won the first Super Bowl in 2007, I ran down the street screaming, "Woo!" Right? I didn't think, hey, let me go find some horse shit and eat it, because my team won. So I just want to say, I know William Roberts brought up that, but I just wanted to say it was pretty funny.
Say what's up to my guy Alex, Big Blue in the Bronx as well. Make sure y'all go stop in, sub up to him over there on his channel, doing great things. Him and his brother and Naomi's doing big things over there. Big Blue in the Bronx, covering all the New York area sports, man. But most definitely.
Great. Well, the Commander fans will hopefully be eating horse poop when they decide to win some games this year. I just want to talk about
I don't know how we got on horse poop. That's kind of weird.
Because the Eagles. William Roberts, I blame him. Okay, he went down that rabbit hole. He said, fans eating shit, and then I said that the Giants winning the Super Bowl didn't want. The first thought on my mind was not let me go eat a piece of horse crap to do that. So I just thought it was funny. And anywho, getting back to the Washington team.
I get you. Hold on, I get you serious about this. I mean, a lot of people seem to share this same opinion, William Roberts. But we'll see, man. September, man. We'll see what happens in September when they put the pads on, man.
We'll get to your Cowboys in a little bit, but getting back to the Cowboys are actually almost a good segue because Dan Quinn came from the Cowboys. And the reason why, if you're a Washington fan, you should be excited is you have a competent coach. Now, I know Ron Rivera, he is who he is. He has his flaws, but let's be honest, he did dirty by the management. This is a new management and a guy who has led programs. He brought the Dallas Cowboys defense. He kept them humming, right? He brought Seattle to number one prominence, won them a Super Bowl, went to the Super Bowl with Atlanta, so he has some history on there, just like Ron Rivera. Obviously, it may not have been their first choice. They wanted Brian Johnson, but hey, you know what? The guy didn't want to come to the Commanders because he kind of wanted to go somewhere else and stick where he's at right now because he has a chance to win a Super Bowl. Imagine if he wins a Super Bowl, then his asking price goes up and the bidders go up. So, I just want to touch on, I think with Dan Quinn, what he's going to bring is a calming presence in the locker room and a strong defense. They may not have a lot of stars on the defense, but they're going to be a formidable bunch. I know we talk a lot about the Giant defense here and this, that, and the other thing, but when you got a guy like Bobby Wagner on your field, he's going to be the general of the defense. He's going to get everybody lined up. They're going to play hard. They're going to know what's going. At least the front seven's going to know what they're doing. The back end, that'll be a different story, but at least the front seven is going to be a little bit of a tough out. So I wanted to bring that up because I know a lot of people are poo-pooing on them because of where they are. Do I think they're going to be a playoff team? No. Do I think they can win 6 games? Absolutely. Do I think they are going to be electric? I do. I do believe that Jaden Daniels will be an X factor with his legs. I'm not saying Lamar Jackson type of thing. So we don't want to put that type of expectation on him. But if he makes some plays here and there, doesn't turn the ball over that much, and allows his team to do it, heavy run game with Brian Johnson. I don't know what Kellen Moore is going to do because Kellen Moore could be the X factor that fucks it all up, right? You know how these coaches get all cute and shit? He's that guy that can get cute and shit. I mean, not Kellen Moore, Cliff Kingsbury, sir, excuse me. He's the one that can fuck it all up, because he might want to get too cocky and pass the ball more, and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens with him. He does have a familiar face with Zach Ertz in the building, so that'll help out the tight ends and some of the skill position players. And we'll see where it goes from there. So, again, I don't have much more because it's OTAs. But if you're a Commander fan and you're looking at this as a bird's eye view, you're heading in the right direction for the first time in probably 2 decades.
I mean, look, this team has got a lot to be excited about as a fan base. It's a new beginning for this football team. What's up, Earl Cole? Make sure y'all go shout out to my guy, Earl Cole, doing great things with the wrestling content for the Hardcore Sports Network, doing big things. Tune into the Earl Cole's Wrestling Experience tonight at 7:30 p.m., where I will be one of his guests on the show with him. But
okay, back double dipping tonight, folks.
But just with the thing about Washington, I think offensively this team is going to really do some exciting things. I think they have a lot of great pieces on that side of the football. And I think Jaden Daniels is just going to be electrifying young talent. And I think I can see some big things coming offensively. But I think the Achilles heel of this football team will unfortunately be the defense. I think if anything is going to hold this team back, it will be the defense side of the ball. And I hear everything you're saying.
Why do you say that?
He's a great leader. Because I can hear everything about Bobby Wagner. He's a great leader. He's, like you said, he's going to have guys doing the right things in the right places. But let's face it, Bobby Wagner is still not the same Bobby Wagner that he once was. He's not that same level of player that dominant.
But he doesn't need to be
like that he wants. I get it. He doesn't have to be, but I'm just saying. I just think that could be a potential where they'll still need to do a little bit more defensively to build that side of the ball up. And
I'm not saying they're going to be a top 10 unit. I mean a competent unit. You're not going to go out there and shit on the Washington Commanders if they're all healthy. I think you're underestimating the value of a linebacker. I mean, you look what Bobby Okereke did for the Giants in one season. He really turned them around. Now, I know Bobby Wagner's not the same guy, but they have the Tulalolo guy from the Panthers, and they have Jamon Davis. I really believe it's to help Jamon Davis come together because, he was the middle linebacker last year, and, he's probably going to play the linebacker, his better position this year. So I'm not saying they're going to be a bigger bunch, but more competent. They're a rebuilding team.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm at. I mean, they're a young team. They got a lot. They just got a lot of change. It's been a lot. There's a lot of change there, and I think I agree with this. I agree with this comment up here from Alex. Like you said, you can see them struggling at first and then getting better as the year goes. They'll be one of those kind of teams. I think will just progressively as the season goes on. We'll just continue. You'll see taking strides and getting better. And I definitely agree with that. He said they could beat a few teams that people don't have them winning against, and I have them beating us at home.
Well, think
And
about that. In week 2, you got to think they go on the road. They're going to come back home in their building. The reason why I think it's going to be tough is that crowd is going to be juiced for the first time in a while. This franchise is doing things. I don't know if they're doing them correctly, but they look like they're in a better place. You drafted your franchise quarterback. You've got weapons around him. You're doing those type of things. You're doing those kind of things that normally the Commanders were not, they were allergic to. They were allergic to being good, right? Now you've got a competent head coach. You've got a competent ownership. You've got a competent GM. You've got a franchise quarterback you can get behind. To me, it's just I'm not saying they're due, and they're due for a win. Why not now? Why not week 2 against a team that they're not going to be necessarily, they're not going to be 2-point underdog, 2-touchdown underdogs against the New York Giants. Let's be realistic, okay? They'll probably be, -3 at best, maybe -1, at best. If you're betting, if I'm a gambling man, that's probably where it will be, the Giants might be +1. They might be favored by a point. That's probably what we're talking about here. Or at work, I think maybe it'll start out at 6, go down to 3, and then maybe after week 1, depending on how the offense is fair, get under 3, maybe a -1 for the Commanders or whatnot. But the point is, when you have a competent football team and you're at home with your fans who have been waiting for a new quarterback, waiting for a fresh start, it's going to be that environment that if the Giants team, and Daniel Jones, he loves the Crimson Red, but this is a different team. If they get off to a hot start against the Giants, a team that they can beat, that might be one of those teams where it's just going to be that much emotion and adrenaline that could be the buzzsaw that just gets you. I'm just saying it means a lot when you have a new regime, you've cleaned out everything, new ownership, first time in front of your fans. It's going to be a tough game.
I mean, yeah, like I said, they're going to be a fun team to watch. They're going to be one of those fun, exciting young teams to check out that a lot of people are going to have their eyes on. I mean, mainly a lot to do with just the fact that they got Jaden Daniels number 2 overall, and they had a lot of good veteran pieces around. Like I said, they've done some really positive things, so they're going to be an interesting team to check out. But let's move on down. Let's move around to that team in Dallas, man. Talk about them Cowboys a little bit, man, and discuss what they could be, how they look coming out of minicamp a little bit. This team won the NFC East a year ago, and then had a disappointing loss in the postseason to get kicked out of the playoffs, man, by the Green Bay Packers, man. So this team's coming in once again, as always, high expectations, but you never know. This Dallas Cowboy team is finicky, man. You just never know what you really gonna get. Brought Zeke Elliott back into the mix, man. I don't know, Mike. Getting some comments from got Mike Zimmer in there at defensive coordinator now. So some changes going on with this Dallas Cowboy team. What kind of expectations do you think you see for this team coming out of minicamp?
Oh, well, the expectations should be Jerry's expectations are going to be Super Bowl or bust, baby. That's what we're doing here. We're a big D. Big D, we need big things to happen. We need big Dak, big time Dak Prescott to come out here. And I'm telling you, as Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, thank you, Adam, for giving me the mic for a minute. I expect to win the Super Bowl. I'm not going to pay Dak Prescott until he becomes a Super Bowl winner. No, but give me the mic back. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you for stopping in. But realistically speaking, they should they should be expecting to go to the Super Bowl. Will they? I don't know. Mike Zimmer, I think, is a good hire. I think he's an underrated hire. And, I think people are going to see what Micah Parsons really can do with a guy that's more attacking with Mike Zimmer. Not saying Dan Quinn, is not because Dan Quinn is, a bad coach or anything like that, but I think Zimmer's defense is going to present a little different attitude and edge with what they do. If you look what he did with the Bengals, look what he did with the Cowboys back in the day. You look what he did with, I think he might have even been on that Ravens team. And you look what he did, obviously, with the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings had a pretty formidable defense while he was there as their coach. They had their shortcomings with, Kirk Cousins being injured and Case Keenum and losing the Eagles in 2017, which I think was their best shot. But you saw how he built that program up and what that defense did for Minnesota. I think you're going to get some of the same things here. Now, will it be good at first? I don't know, but I'm really interested and intrigued to see what he could do with a weapon like Micah Parsons, somebody he's never had on his defense before, not since maybe the 90s when he was on those Cowboy teams that had Charles Haley and they were winning Super Bowls and things like that. So he hasn't had a pass rusher like that. I think their defense is coming back pretty much intact from last year. Might get a little better here and there. Obviously, people are criticizing their moves. You know what? The Cowboys are who they are. Every time there's two things I've noticed about two particular teams in the NFC East. The Eagles, they're always a pesky out, 100% always a pesky out. And the Cowboys seem to always know what they're doing, right? Regardless of how it is. We may not know their offseason, but somehow they'll end up with a splashy player. They have won in the last decade between Jason Garrett and Mike McCarthy. They've won double-digit games numerous times, throughout their tenure. Dak Prescott has been a league leader in passing last year and a couple years prior to that. I think he's going to have a big season this year. Call me crazy. I think he's going to try to prove his doubters wrong this year. And I think we look at this team and say, oh, well, they lost this. Well, guess what? They plug and play guys, and those guys seem to fit right into their culture and fit right into their team. So I don't think there's going to be much of a drop-off, especially talent-wise. They may not win the NFC East this year. That might go to another team that we talk about in a few minutes, but I do think they're going to be a formidable team. I think the Green Bay taste left a bad taste in their mouth, and I think I think the offense kind of bounced back in that game late, but it was a little too late at that time, and they were giving up points after points. Green Bay scored 2 interceptions. I think they had 2 turnovers returned for touchdowns, 1 interception, I think, and a fumble, and then they also, kind of stifled the D, but they did come back later on. The Cowboys did score 30 points in that game at some point. So if the defense happened to wake up and got turnovers of their own, who knows what the game would have eventually been. So my point is, I'm not writing them off. I'm never writing these teams off, especially when I've learned my place at the table. Listen, I'm a Giant fan, and I want to boast my chest and talk all the shit. And funny story, like I told the guys last week, I brought a friend of mine over. I'm a dad. If some of you don't know, I drop my kid off at school. I meet some of the dads that are there. We bub elbows, talk a little sports. One's a Giant fan, a couple are Eagle fans, and we rib each other a little bit, but not. We all know our place at the table, right? So I don't go in there, squawking at all, because one, my quarterback's Daniel Jones, and two, my team's been absolutely dog shit for the past 10 years. So here we are on a Wednesday afternoon with my son at the playground for his school. They were doing an event there, and I introduced one of my Eagle friends to my spouse, and she and her newfound mother friends have started talking shit as Giant fans to this Eagle fan, and I'm like, wow, I am floored, because I didn't expect this to happen, right? And I'll get to my point. I'll land the plane in a minute. My point is, you got to know. I pulled her aside. I said, you got to know your place at the table. We stink. We're not good. You can't just be squawking all day, because there's nothing to look really forward to. Cowboys, on the other hand, they don't have that. They can squawk. They won the NFC East. They're looking down at us. We're looking up at them. And let me tell you, they're going to be a formidable out. Do I think they're going to be the team last year? No, I don't. But I do believe their defense will be better. Their defense may be a reason why we're winning games, when they're winning games next year.
I mean, to me, it's never about what this team's going to do in the regular season, man.
He's not my QB. He stinks, but I'm saying
it's not about. It's not about what this team. This Dallas Cowboy team. I'm over with them. It's like how I mentioned with the New York Giants. It's like I don't care
Boston Celtics
about what they're doing in May and June. I don't care
True.
about what they're doing in May and June. I don't care what the Cowboys are doing in the regular season anymore. We know they're a good football team. They're going to be good in the regular season. It's this postseason thing with this Dallas Cowboys team that every year when they get to the postseason they hit that brick wall. That's what it really comes down to with this football team. But as far as like some maybe storylines coming out of Cowboy camp a little bit, Micah Parsons and Zimmer don't seem to be getting off to a fast start as far as with building a good relationship. Considering Micah Parsons being the premier defender on that defense, you
No,
think
he
there's
shaved it.
any room for concern? Any room for concern there? Possibly with
Uh,
Micah. Oh,
I don't know. I mean, I think I'm not gonna lie. Micah Parsons has been a little immature. You know, listen, Daniel Jones stinks. We're not going to get into it, Don, but that's all right. Um, Micah Parsons, I think he has other endeavors. I don't know. He might be getting information from other people who've played with Zimmer who may not like him. And he has done well under Dave Quinn, so we'll find out. Training camp is coming. Um, Training camp is coming. We'll find out really how well he is. I think it might be a good match schematic wise for Micah Parsons. However, personality wise, it may not be. And that's not me. That's not something I, you know, am going to know. You never know if you're going to mess with your boss or your coworker, whoever. Plus, he also is a little ticked off at the Cowboys for not paying him yet. That could also be part of the reason why he's not quote unquote reaching out to Mike Zimmer. So let's do that.
but
He
we're not going.
stinks, bro. We're
But
not going
look,
down that road, bro.
but look. So I mean, Ezekiel Elliott returning back to this Dallas Cowboy team. Zeke back in the building. He's obviously not the same guy he was when they drafted him back in 2015, 2016, whatever that year it was. But at the same time, he's definitely can probably add something to this offense still, and still definitely contribute and give them a little something that they kind of missed out on last season. That they missed last season. Kind of impact you think maybe you could possibly see from Ezekiel Elliott returning to the Dallas Cowboys?
I mean, I think he was a solid player. The Patriots last year wasn't like 1,000-yard rusher, but he had some solid games. I think that's all you need is a reliable back in the backfield, to talk to him. But that's all that really is going on. I don't think Zeke Elliott is really going to change the needle. I think they didn't have a good running game on in the playoffs, and I think you could tell that Tony Pollard wasn't the bell cow that they thought he was going to be and needed to be. Zeke Elliott allows them to have a bell cow when they need to, so maybe they'll run the football a little bit, and then when the game is moving, he'll be the 4-minute offense kind of guy, giving the ball in the backfield, and all that. Listen, the Don. I'm not.
Look, we'll
If
get to,
you, you
we'll get to Daniel Jones in a little bit.
we're not going to
We'll
talk
talk
about Daniel
about that.
Jones. He stinks. Period.
We'll talk about it in a little bit. We'll talk about it in a little bit when we get to that segment of the show. But
Like, get off
look,
his. Never mind.
the Dallas Cowboys, just like I said, it's not about the right. It's about the postseason with this team. To me, that's the obstacle that they have to overcome, man.
Oh boy.
That's the obstacle that they had to overcome. But so we'll see what happens as they get ready and get these 6 weeks out, get the 6 weeks off, and
Maybe
get ready for
he'll get
training
in
camp.
shape. Maybe he'll come back in great shape, and maybe he'll be a dynamic runner. I don't know, but I'm not. If I'm a fantasy football fan and I'm a Cowboy fan, I'm hoping I'm not relying on Zeke Elliott to be the bell cow. I want him to be a situational back, a third down back, a guy that can help block out of the backfield. He might be the starter by default. Who knows? They clearly were lacking a downhill run game last year, and that really killed them in certain games when they needed to close it out. They relied too much on the big play from Dak Prescott.
Well, I think it gives them what they're going to need as far as like, short yardage situations where where they really struggled a year ago, so a season ago. So this that definitely gives them something, add something back in that regard, man. But let's move it along, man. Let's move it along, but not quite to the Giants yet, man. Not quite to the Giants.
DJ stinks.
We're gonna go to the Philadelphia Eagles, man. This team that acquired so much more talent yet again this offseason. Have no idea how Roseman continues to pull this off, re-signing players and just keeping this team right now intact, especially on the offensive side. But it got a lot of great young talent on the defensive side as well. And this team just seems to find ways to stay relevant and stay good. Thoughts?
Every year that we talk about the Eagles, and every year they do something. We're like, oh, they're going to lose this, oh, they're going to lose that, and they seem to pinch some guy, some star player here and some star player there, or end up with the two best corners in the draft, like crazy, So I don't know what it's going to happen with them. I think the turmoil. I'm not saying the turmoil is overblown. Last year they did collapse for many reasons. One of the reasons I do believe they collapsed is defensively they had no structure in the back end defensively. Not really. It didn't matter who was calling the plays. It just didn't seem to work out. I think they got Devin White as a linebacker. That guy's going to fly around. They changed their defensive coordinator to Vic Fangio. The team started taking a liking to Vic Fangio. So I think that'll change. I don't think it's going to change drastically, but at least there'll be a competent defense again. Offensively, they were predictable, and I think part of it was because even though they had a 1,000-yard back, DeAndre Swift is not as dynamic as a guy like Barkley. So let me explain. Barkley, what he does for your team is adds an element that nobody normally has. He can catch out of the backfield. He can take the ball and get you 50 yards pretty quickly. The Eagles haven't had a dynamic playmaker running back in probably since Ricky Waters, if you really want to be true to a dynamic back. If for all you old cats or young cats out there, go look up Ricky Waters. He's a borderline. He's a borderline.
I know what you're saying, Ricky Waters. I'm talking about. I think DeAndre Swift was more than capable. I think the Philadelphia Eagles just kind of failed him because he came out and started off the season last year, gangbusters, man. He had those three. He had I think a 3-game where it was just insane what he was doing.
No, I'm not.
He was putting up, and then the Eagles. I think they went more away from him and didn't really get the most out of him that they could have.
But let me ask you this question. From pure talent standpoint. Barkley or DeAndre Swift?
No. Obviously Saquon Barkley.
Right.
I hear that. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not saying that Barkley is not still an upgrade from Swift. I just believe that Swift was a guy that the Eagles could have got a lot more out of a season ago.
No. I agree with you. I think they abandoned the run, but I think that was partially due to their offensive philosophy. But if they were, I'm only talking about them now. Kellen Moore is going to have them doing different things, right? Probably a little bit more running with Barkley and things like that. But if you were to put Barkley in last year's offense, they'd probably win more games because he is that dynamic of a pass catcher out of the backfield. So you're kind of forced to have him on the field. And now if you run – I was talking to AK Reality Check, and we were having a discussion. I said, what if the Eagles run a pitch play? Like you have Jalen Hurts running. Now the defensive end has two options. I can either go blast the quarterback or go chase down Barkley. Now, and the quarterback's going to make his move with whatever that defensive end is going to do. Just imagine that. I mean, it's on paper. It is an intriguing offensive skill set. Not to mention you have Dallas Goedert coming back, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith is not going to allow the defense to – they're going to have to pick their poison. If they come up and play the run, the Eagles have two of the best home run threats in the game, where if they pass protect enough, A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith is going to get behind you, right? They have a tight end who will be coming back off of injury, who's one of the best seam busters in the NFL. He runs a seam route as well as any tight end in the league. So, as we're looking at this and this team, if they have a little bit more adjustment, a little bit more motion, you realize they didn't really have much motion last year. They lined up, they were in shotgun, they ran hike, right? This year, you want to see a little bit of motion. Now, what motion is going to allow them to do is find out where the line is and how the defense is playing them. So that might give Jalen Hurts a little bit of a tip to where he's going to go with the ball, saying, "Oh, well, they're a man, and I have one-on-one on the outside. I'm going to look here." So, that's where I think this team is, and that's why I think that Barkley is going to add to it. I think their defense, I want to see how Jalen Carter progresses. I really think he's going to be an absolute stud for them. I want to see how Devin White comes in and helps them. I want to see what their backfield and how it gels. So, I hate to say it, I'm looking forward to it. As a football fan, I'm intrigued by what the Eagles do. They do this every year, and here we are. Listen, man, you can tell if a quarterback can play or not. End of story, bro. Like, I don't know what we're talking about here.
Stop
Song
acknowledging
and
that
dance.
right now, man. Stop about the Eagles. Stop acknowledging that right now. I'm admitting now. I'm not even looking at that right now. But the thing with Saquon Barkley, man, I'm excited for Saquon Barkley. I know it sucks being a Giants fan. I'm a big Saquon Barkley fan. It sucks to watch him have to put that uniform on and go play for the enemy. But at the end of the day, the Giants are the ones that made their choice to not bring him back, and it's a business at the end of the day. That man had every right.
Yeah, they signed the quarterback instead.
Whatever team he wanted to. Saquon Barkley, we're going to finally get to see exactly how dynamic a player he truly is. I mean, that's what the league. That's what you're going to get an opportunity to see right now as a football fan. You're going to get to see how dynamic, because since Saquon Barkley's rookie season with the Giants, he hasn't really played any games in which he wasn't pretty much the only real threat that a defense has had the game plan for going against the New York Giants. You know what I mean? Other than his rookie season when he had Odell Beckham and Eli Manning still there, that was it. I mean, that's been it. And you saw that he statistically had his best year his rookie season, when you had other weapons that defenses had to account for. Now he hasn't had that since his
Not to
rookie
mention
season.
that line, an offensive line that's going to be better than better.
Oh, it's the best offensive line by far that he's that he's had the pleasure to run behind. It's not even close. That's not even close.
Imagine this, man. We always get mad at Barkley because he always does dancing behind the backfield. Imagine now he's going to actually hit the hole with a hole that's there, right? He's going to hit the hole.
I mean, he's not going to get hit every time he touches the football. Still 4 yards in the backfield. That's not going to be happening now. He's going to, like you said, actually have holes to run through with consistency. And like I said, also with just other weapons the Eagles have, and just the talent. I mean, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, the Dallas Goedert, the quarterback Jalen Hurts. I mean, teams have to account for those guys too. So it's open up things for players. And Saquon Barkley you're going to see exactly how, as a football fan, you're going to see how dynamic he truly is. And New York Giant fans that have been hating all off season on Saquon Barkley and acting like he wasn't shit and he wasn't anything and he wasn't that great and he's overrated and all this nonsense. Yeah, you're going to find out, man. You are going to find out. It's the facts, man. Yeah, this is what you see what the show is called, bro. The show is called The Real Deal NFC East Round-Up. And the Eagles right now are the real deal in the NFC East. That's a fact.
I don't understand.
If you can't at least admit that, then I don't know what you're here for. I really don't.
Exactly. Really,
I'm sorry. At least admit that.
Look,
that's a reality. That's just
listen,
what's real, man.
Isn't this? Yeah, and
it's not dick line. I hate the Eagles. I tell everybody who knows me knows the Eagles is my worst hated team in the league. Period. That's the team I hate. I hate coming on this show and having to say good things about them. But it's the facts. And the facts are what the facts are. They're a good football team. They're a football team that the New York Giants have never had an answer for, if you want to even keep it real. We never, it's not in my life, not in my history as a New York Giants fan, and that goes back to 85. And the Eagles have always been a thorn in the Giants' side. I hate this fucking team. But the reality is they're significantly better than us. And I can't sit here and come on here on this platform and tell anybody anything different, because that would just be me lying and capping.
Well,
I'm just saying.
That's funny. But my point is, he's right. This is the NFC East show. We're content creators. We're not trying to be our normal Giant selves. Okay, we do that on Sundays. When we create this content, we have to be fair and see it as an objective observer. Okay, and if you can't see that the Eagles have been to the playoffs 3 years in a row, have done better things than the Giants, and we can get into the Giants and address your issues, so to speak, because we can get into them. It's a fact, and we can't sugarcoat that on this show. That's not what this show is. We're giving the real takes. You don't like real takes, then this isn't the show for you, because we're not going to sit here and be, just Homer, just wearing blue-colored glasses and shitting on the other team, even though they are better than us. I told you, I'm a Giant fan. I know my place at the table, okay? Until shown otherwise, I can't flex nothing because they haven't shown me nothing. They haven't done nothing. They went to playoff. They won the playoff game against the worst defense in the NFL, okay? So we've done nothing. The Eagles have been to the Super Bowl, okay? In the last 5 years, they have more trips to the championship game than we do, okay? They're constantly in the playoffs. They've had one season not being in the playoffs, and that was the year Carson Wentz got injured. The following year with Jalen Hurts in 2021, they were in the playoffs again. So, yeah, you call it dick riding, I call it open your damn eyes because that's what's happening, okay? There's a reason there's a reason why the Cowboys and the Eagles alternate winning the NFC East every year. And the Giants and the Commanders alternate third place every year. I'm sorry.
And with that being said, might as well just get right into it, man, with these New York Football Giants, man. You might as well get right on into it, man. This team, once again, doing some things, exciting fans in May and June, doing all the things
As
to get
always.
everybody all hyped and get everybody talking. Oh, yeah, look, he's going to do this, we're going to do that. I'm over that. I'm done drinking that Kool-Aid. I'm officially done drinking that Kool-Aid. It's about September, man, because these guys are all pros. They're going to look good in May and June and running around in shorts and helmets. That's why they're professionals. They're going to look great right now at this time of the year. I want to see how great they can look in September. I need to see results in September to know if this shit is working or not. You want to address Daniel Jones a little bit? I will address Daniel Jones a little bit. I'm done with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones he's in New York. He is completely ruined in this city. He's completely ruined. There's never going to be a good version of Daniel Jones on this team, in my opinion. I can't see it. I think too much has happened. It's just been a snowball effect, like an avalanche. It's just I don't see any kind of way air him mentally. He has the physical tools. There's no doubt about that. He's got the physical. I don't think anybody truly questions him having the physical tools. It's in the head. It's mental. It's something. It's a disconnect, big time. You want to talk about the offensive line? Okay, the offensive line is absolutely trash. It's done him no favors. The weapons, yeah, they're not great by no means. But tell me why a second string quarterback and a third string quarterback who was an undrafted rookie free agent can come in behind the same shitty ass O-line with the same very, very average weapons and be so much more productive. Explain that. Explain that. Riddle me that. Tommy DeVito. The dude lives home with his mother. Why was he able to come in with all those same adversities as Daniel Jones and be so much more productive? Daniel Jones it's a mental thing. I'm convinced with this kid. It's never going to work out in this city with him. Let's get off of that. You brought in Darren Waller last year. Look at that. Look what happened there. Nothing. I mean, Kenny Galladay's not even in the league anymore. I'm not trying to blame that on Daniel Jones, but at the same time, what happened to that guy all of a sudden? As soon as he came to the Giants, he didn't know how to play football anymore? We don't know everything that's going on with that, but at the end of the day,
we had the Blitnikoff winner.
I mean, you get Jalen Hyatt last season. Oh, we got the burners going to get downfield behind defenses and do all this and do all that. How many shots Daniel Jones take to Jalen Hyatt last season?
All of them were in like one game. All of them were like in 2 games. The Raider game and the Arizona Cardinal game. That's it.
Come on, man. But at the end of the day, once again, at least for this another season, he's our quarterback. And I know how you feel, Adam, but I got to still stand behind him because he is, no matter what, the guy that's going to be running out the tunnel, it looks like, again, for another season.
All right.
With that being said, I don't think he should be the guy. But if he is, I'm going to still do my best to support him and support this football team. But I'm done. I'm tired of hearing about all the May and June great stories, the Malik Neighbors great catches. There's nobody defending you, bro. And I love it. I love that what you're bringing. I love what I'm seeing as far as you were trying to adapt adapt to the NFL game. But right now, You running out there playing against air. So spectacular catch against air means nothing to me, man. Nobody's hitting you. Nobody's trying to dislodge you from the football yet. None of that, man. Ain't none of that happening. So everything's gonna look great. Everything's gonna be kumbaya and look great, and everything's gonna be awesome. But look, with this team, I'm just a frustrated New York Giants fan. We have sucked for far too long. Far too long. When are we gonna be able to figure out a way to get this shit right?
I'll tell you when.
That's where my frustration is with the team. That's all. And everybody, like I said, I'm not going to tell you how to fan. You fan the way you want to fan, but I'm not drinking that May and June Kool-Aid no more. I'm done. I drank the whole goddamn gallon jug of that shit last season. Making an ass of myself, saying all kinds of outlandish things, thinking shit was going to change. You got Darren Waller and Jalen Hyde and all this and that and this, that, and the other.
One drive in the preseason.
And then September comes around, and what did any of that mean? How we open the season up? At home, in prime time.
In butt cheeks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Remember that? That's what I remember. But anyway, let's talk about some positives. Hearing some good things about the running back the Giants drafted, the young kid out, Tracy. A lot of good things, hearing a lot of great things about him. And one thing I do take away from these mini camps is the development of the rookies adjusting to the pro game. Any thoughts maybe on that, kid, or anything else, Adam?
First and foremost, if anyone wants to hear my giant rants about DJ, you can go back and watch every show that I've talked about with this organization. The kid is cheeks. I'm not really going to talk about him anymore. I'm not going to support him as the quarterback. I don't have to support him as the quarterback. I support the New York Giants. I don't care. To me, I know what the end result is with Daniel. He's never hosting a Lombardi. This team is not where everyone thinks it needs to be. And those teams that do win Lombardis with mid quarterbacks usually never go again. Okay, usually those guys never go again. Nick Foles has not even in the league anymore. Guys like Jeff Hostetler never became great. So I'm not going to sit here and wait. You guys can wait year 6. But anyways, I digress about that. As far as the rookies, I'm intrigued by the rookie class. The one thing that alarms me about this team with Darren Waller going is the main targets and the main stars of this team are all either are coming off an injury or are off the team in general. You have Daniel Jones, who is terrible, but I guess is the starting quarterback and coming off an injury and a bad season. Now he's lost Saquon Barkley, who by record and definition has not played well without. Okay, and now you have no Darren Waller. All right, and you have you're relying on Malik Neighbors, who's done nothing in the league yet. So it's a lot of, if you were to put their roster, especially the receiving core and skill position players up against all the teams, I think they probably would rank 4th of all the teams in the NFL. Why? Just because life happens, and I think, in this instance, you're gonna see a lot of growing pains. Because, they have a new tight end, Bellinger. Here's what I want to talk about. Okay, as much as Tracy's doing well, and again, I'm not holding stock, like you said, as a 5th-round pick. It's good. Hopefully he can do something. Brightwell's gone. He was a waste, right? They got this kid, the Turbo kid out of, I think, South Carolina. He's a guy they might look into. Devin Singletary. This is what I want to talk about the running back position. You brought up a good point. I was in a space recently, we were talking about the running backs, and we were saying that the running backs are going to be a better organization, or a better group, because Barkley is gone. Now, I agree that Devin Singletary is going to get you more yards downhill because he doesn't look for the cutback. He looks to just make a guy miss in the hole and get north and south. So I think if you're talking about consistency of that team blocks, you could see maybe 4 or 5 yards a clip. I don't think you'll see the same explosive plays that you got with Barkley the same way. So we'll see how that translates. I think they brought in Tracy for that 3rd down back kind of Tony Pollard role, Alvin Kamara type role, where you're going to get him on screens. If you notice what the Giants offense is going to do, they're doing a lot of slants, a lot of short routes. You know why you do those kind of concepts? because your quarterback stinks. So instead of having him throw the ball 60 times a game, you give the ball to guys who are fast and are playmakers with 5 yards of cushion so they can outrun everybody, zip, zip, zippity-doo to the end zone. That's what you do when your team stinks. All right, and your quarterback stinks. Now, we saw a great version of that in 1999 when Kurt Warner and the greatest show on turf had Marshall Faulk in the backfield and everybody could pass. We haven't seen it again. But when you do see quarterbacks that throw these little dunk routes and screen routes, which they're built for with Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, Malik Neighbors, those guys all have 4.3 speed. What are you going to do? You're going to have your quarterback who can't read the far side of a barn turn and throw it to them and let the playmakers do the work. So that's what you're going to do. Whether or not it works, I have no idea. I am intrigued again by Theo Johnson. I don't know what he's going to be, but what alarms me is Daniel Bellinger. Apparently, Daniel Bellinger is giving reps to the rookie. Now, you might ask, well, why, Adam? Why is that alarming to you? You should be the starting tight end. You shouldn't want to relinquish your job. You shouldn't want to be giving away reps to that. And the fact that they're giving more reps to the younger guys, regardless, is not a good sign for me and Daniel Bellinger. I need that guy to be tight end 1, Lawrence Cage to be tight end 3, Theo Johnson to be tight end number 2, and maybe one of the other free agent tight ends you came in to be your H-back / blocking tight end. But I need more out of Bellinger. And that's why I think this team is going to run a heavy dose of 12 personnel. I think they're going to go 3 tight ends, because Evan Neal is having some problems already. I don't know if this guy is going to be – if that guy – I'll tell you this right now. If that guy ends up on the bike come training camp, we have a problem. We have a major problem at line because Josh Azudu stinks. Is it okay to say that to Don? Because he does stink at right tackle.
I think Don might be gone now, but
Jermaine Illuminor, who is not great at left guard, his better position is tackle, is now being stuck there. So now you're not even going to move because Azudu stinks at guard. The Don, he stinks at guard. So they're trying to salvage his season at right tackle, and now you're going to not even take Illuminor out. This O-line could be a mess with the Evan Neal injury. So I want to monitor that. I want to see how they gel. I know people are telling me, I'm not a good Giant fan because I'm not optimistic. This is the same song, dance, rinse, and repeat I've seen for the last year. They're still doing the same fucking O-line changes that we talk about all the time with the musical chairs, and I don't trust that. Now, let me get on defense before I throw the mic back to Mac. I've rambled on enough. A lot of people are believing in this defense. I'm going to tell you right now, temper your expectations. The reason I'm saying this is a few reasons, because the Don likes reasons, right? So reason number 1 is the Tennessee Titans defense was a formidable defense, but they were a bend but don't break defense. If you go look at their stats, they weren't topping a lot of categories at anything. Sacks, fumbles, turnovers, any of the stats that matter, they weren't good at. However, they were one of the best teams, if not the best team, in red zone percentage, which means they don't give up touchdowns, which means they have a bend but don't break defense. But defenses like that sometimes struggle when you have a struggling offense. Now, granted, we have Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and Dexter Lawrence. I like all that. We have nobody next to Dexter Lawrence of salt. We have Bobby Okereke, who's good, and we have a very green backfield in these DB room. We don't have really a good second corner. All right, Flott getting burnt left and right like burnt toast on a breakfast sandwich. So defensively, I just want people to temper the expectations with this defense. While it probably will be good in a solid unit, it may not be the unit it was last year. So while it may not get you the turnovers and win you the games, it may be solid, but we may be giving up points anyways.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. The defense definitely going to be a little bit of a work in progress. Get to see. I think this is a unit though that will develop and get better as the season progresses. I think it'll also move along as I think we got some real players on that side of the ball as long as guys can stay healthy. Dexter Lawrence is an absolute stud in this league now. Hopefully Thibodeau can continue to take more strides, take another step this season.
Well, I hope so.
And we know what we got. We know what we got in Brian Burns, and if you can get anything consistent out of Azeez Ojulari, I mean, the guy when he plays, he gets the sacks. It's just a matter of when he plays.
I'm not going to
But you're
lie.
right,
I
that
think he's a
secondary
better
is gonna
talent
be.
than Thibodeau. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, I think the secondary is going to be an Achilles heel right away. A lot of young guys back there, a lot of inexperienced, very very green group of guys, but hopefully they can get coached up, and because you're gonna need them guys back there, man. You're not gonna always can't depend on Burns and Thibodeau, Z's, and whoever else getting to the quarterback. I mean, every time that's just not realistic, man. Secondary is gonna have to figure out a way to get the things together. It's gonna be tough. As a ranking had came out recently that I saw, I can't remember who it was by, but had ranked the New York Giants secondary as the worst in the league, man. So that's never a good look, even though that means absolutely nothing really, truthfully. But it's never a good look when people even look at you that way and kind of consider
Well,
and think that lowly of you. But I mean, honestly, I can't really I can't say I
well,
totally disagree with that. The secondary is filled with a bunch of young guys.
the one thing that scares me about this entire team is the drama that we've had since January to now. We've been in the news cycle more than any team in the NFC East, more than most teams in the NFL during the offseason, whether it's the turmoil with Brian Dable and Wink Martindale, whether or not, trying the offseason of trying to get a big name free agent in here, which we did with Brian Burns, the quarterback musical chairs going to everybody's pro day under the sun, that was in the top five, the drafting of Malik Neighbors, the hard knocks that we're going to be a part of, the retirement of Darren Waller, Barkley leaving. We have had so much go on, and yet we still forget that the drama for our coach is on the hot seat big time, and he knows it. That's why he lost weight. You know why he lost weight? It's not because he's probably exercising, it's because he's stressed out. He's probably stressed the fuck out because he's skated by the skin of his seat, not getting fired. Because normally when you fire coaches or have that much turmoil go on, you normally change the head coach. He got to stay there. And not for nothing, he got masked by a lot of the bullshit that went on with the drama, right? We talk about his relationships with Mick Martindale. He also had questionable decisions in game situations, and he had them in 2022, but we were winning, so we didn't pay attention to them. And this year we couldn't pay attention to them as much because so much other stuff was going on, we forgot to look at the head man. And I think this year has to be a big year for Brian Dable. In terms of offense, you already hear him that he's calling the plays, which makes the Mike Kafka thing again useless, and obviously optics, because he wanted to leave for a lateral move. They stopped him. They gave him the assistant head coach title, and now he's standing there doing nothing. Essentially, he said, "I'm assisting Brian Dable." Like, what? What? That's what you're doing? What? Maybe you're setting up meetings, getting coffee? Like, what are we doing here? So it's on Brian Dable to get this shit right and this shit going. And the thing is, if you look at the offensive linemen they got a lot of pass offensive linemen. Their linemen aren't run heavy. And I'm going to see what kind of offensive coordinator he runs, because everywhere he's been outside of Buffalo, the quarterbacks haven't been great. He doesn't have a great one here, and the passing attack hasn't been as dynamic as it should be. And like NFL Reality Check is saying, they might be putting too much on Neighbors' plate, which I'm a guy who thinks he should get 1,000 yards, but I understand the undue pressure they're probably going to put this guy on as being the savior of their broken quarterback. And when that guy doesn't go off in certain games, because let's be honest, what is the defense looking at? When the Vikings come in, who are they afraid of? Because at least you knew they were afraid of 26, and at least you knew if 12 was on the field, Waller, there was a chance that guy could make something happen. Obviously he was injured, but they were afraid. Who have they got now? Malik Neighbors? Jalen Hyatt, who we don't know is going to be good because of the quarterback he plays with, and Wan'Dale Robinson, who's injured. And don't get me started with Darius Slayton. That guy can kick rocks. Hey, Darius, man, I'm sorry. You basically got incentives that you aren't going to reach. So basically, you're getting less money than you would have been if you kept your mouth shut. Had he kept his mouth shut, they wouldn't have moved his money to incentives, and he'd have more money in his pocket. And I'm sure we're going to need him because we already have receivers going down with Chad Cota, Marcus Ford Wheaton, and all that. I can just see him being like, Mark Ingram or one of those receivers that's stashed away and all of a sudden has a big game because he happens to be on the roster. Personally, I think Darius Slayton might be traded during the training camp season. And if we have a bad year, I hope and expect that he's traded by the trade deadline if he's not doing much. Get something for the guy, because He might start out as the number one, but when you draft a guy number one, draft a guy number two, draft a guy number three, and you're a fifth-round pick with an old regime, guess what? Your days are numbered. I'm sorry to tell you that. And you have two other tight ends drafted by this regime who are also going to need the rock. So where did that fit in Darius Slayton? Right now, you're just an expensive fourth receiver. So there's a lot going on with this team, a lot of drama, a lot of shit that we don't need, and we're not the Cowboys. We don't do well when we have drama. Okay, the Cowboys can have drama. Michael Parsons holding out, CeeDee Lamb holding out. They come back and all of a sudden win 12 games. We have guys hold out. We have all this bullshit, and we can't win. We can't get out of our damn way. And it started to head down that road right now. You know, I've got people over-analyzing the damn OTA practice, trying to tell me that Daniel's better, Drew Lock. Like, let's let it be. We know what these guys are. They know what these guys are. We have to just let it play out. And Brian Daboll is on a ship that could be sinking. And I'm going to ask you this, Mac, because this irks me to no end. Everyone's telling me, well, you know, if the Giants lose 6-10, you know, 6-11, 7-10, that Daboll is safe. And I'm like, how is that possible? How, if they don't make the playoffs, if this guy is still going to have a job next season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just not. I'm not sure anymore with this whole thing with this team. Like you said, I think the organization, like Mets, no Mets, no Nets, no Jets said earlier, is just whole thing. Everything's just suspect anymore, and I never used to have to feel that way about this team, man. But it's just it's been a lot of just really hanky shit going on over the last several years, and it just doesn't.
Like everyone's asking, what's the plan?
Just need true leadership, and I think this team is really, really desperate for true leadership, man. Somebody really take the bull by the horns, like Tom Coughlin. No matter
Michael
what,
Strahan.
even when it started slipping, you know, the last couple years before he left, he still just had control. Though he always had control of this team, what was going on, and he definitely had the full on respect of the players on this football team, no matter what. And I just think this team is just desperate for that, really still searching for that,
You know,
and seeking that. And I mean, I
think
hear some things about some players, like, you know, get a Wan'Dale Robinson type of guy trying to step up and take on a little more of a leadership role, and that's admirable. But at the end of the day, man, we really just need to start seeing results with this football team.
Somebody brought up something good, and this will be one of my last points, that the Giants haven't brought in like a Super Bowl veteran, a guy that can galvanize, like Antrell Roll. Remember Antrell Roll? Okay, we brought Antrell Roll in because we had a bad safety problem in 2009, and he came in and kind of changed the culture a little bit. Michael Strahan buying into what Tom Coughlin did. You know, guys that are winning, right? A lot of these teams, we talk about a lot of these teams that are above us, they have winning cultures because they have players that have won recently and also historically, right? They win. We, in the last decade, don't have anybody to hang our hat on to bring in here and say, hey, look, this is how we get it done. You know, we don't have an Antrell Roll. We don't have an Antonio Pierce. We don't have that guy that's good. Our one leader has left. Saquon Barkley has left. Our fearless leader has left. Nobody, and I repeat this, nobody believes in DJ as a leader. He's just not that guy. You know, you have Jalen Hyatt saying this is a playoff team. Nice try, kid. But, you know, prove it on the field. Stop talking with your mouths. Prove it on the field. All right? We
That's
win.
what I'm talking about. Let your play do the talking. Let your play do the talking.
Like you've not done anything. I know you're trying to back your team and all this stuff, but do what Darius Slayton said. Win fucking football games. They asked Darius Slayton, what's going to get Daniel Jones loved in the city? He said to win. He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't win. And my thing about DJ, right? All they ever say about DJ is first one in, last one out. Same results. Okay, we're making a T-shirt. It's called DJ. First one in, last one out. On the back of the T-shirt says same fucking results. That's what you get with that guy. You don't hear about how good. You listen to all the other quarterbacks and all the other teams. That Patrick Mahomes, you got great arm talent, great leadership. Throw into this. He's commands the room. Jalen Hurts, everyone listens to him when he talks. You know, Dak Prescott, great leader. Da, da, da. We get first one in, last one out. And I say same fucking result. That's what the fuck we get. Okay, there is no leadership, and the coach who's supposed to be a leader. How can you be a leader? It's easy when you have Josh Allen on the field. It's easy. It comes easy. People will listen to you. But when you're a loser, I'm telling you this right now. If you don't think they look to Daniel Jones for guidance and people are laughing at him, then you're absolutely out of your mind and you're not reading the tea leaves. Because even Kayvon Thibodeau and other teams and other players have mentioned it throughout the offseason. They should have paid somebody else. They should have did this. They should have did that, right? DJ is not giving you a rah-rah kumbaya speech. He's not Eli Manning, who was a cerebral assassin, okay? When Eli Manning spoke, the room got quiet. When DJ speaks, nobody cares, okay? I'm just saying it. I'm being real. And you can't force leadership. You know how you do it? It happens organically. You've got to win games. People got to believe in you. Malik Neighbors, he can end up being a leader. Kayvon Thibodeau, he can end up being a leader. Dexter Lawrence, you know why? Because those guys produce and they perform. You know who doesn't produce and doesn't perform? The quarterback. So it's hard to be the leader of the franchise when you stink and nobody believes in you outside of a few, right? They don't believe in it. So it's hard for me to believe that this team is going to do that. I don't know what's going to happen if this team goes 2-0, let's say, and then they start to get kicked in the mouth by Cleveland, by Pittsburgh, by Dallas, by all these other teams. I don't know what's going to happen. At what point will Brian Daboll pull the plug? At what point will it become self-preservation? At what point will we have somebody stand up and get mad? Antrell Roll did that shit. They had players-only meetings when shit was going down. We don't get none of that shit.
I'm gonna just end it like this too, myself personally. Like I said, I'm still just disappointed with this football team for the fact we're going into training camp and just anointing Daniel Jones the starting quarterback. He's done absolutely nothing to deserve that distinction going into a training camp. It should be a wide open competition. Whether it's Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock, Daniel Jones, some other guy that's not even on the team right now, whoever. It should be a wide open competition because Daniel Jones has done absolutely nothing to earn the right to walk in and be the guy. He's done absolutely nothing to deserve that right. But it's been a great show. We do appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm not quite sure when we'll be back. We'll definitely be on a regular schedule once we get to training camp and going into preseason. And the regular season will be rolling each and every Wednesday night. We had to come at y'all this Thursday because it had a little scheduling conflict. But we'll definitely be regular when we get to training camp. We may do another show before training camp, maybe previewing training camp a little bit. We'll see. Me and Adam will talk about it, man. But thanks for tuning in once again. It's been another great show, man. Appreciate you guys in the chat. Keeping it going, man. Appreciate all of you guys. Make sure y'all go and sub up to myself, Matt the Giants fan, my super dope co-host, Adam Costas, sub up to the Hardcore Sports Network. Definitely doing our thing, man. Definitely bringing that heat, man. We can't wait to get to September, man, and be going full steam ahead with y'all. We definitely love the energy in the chat. Once again, bring up that name, Daniel Jones, and things always seem to go a little bit left. You know what I mean? Everything gets off the rails a little bit. Something about that guy, everything. You can't even talk about this guy. You can't even talk about it. You can't even have a normal conversation about Daniel Jones. It just always goes off the rails. But nonetheless, he is the New York Giants quarterback for now. And it is what it is. But I'm Matt the Giants fan. That's my guy, super dope co-host, Adam Costas. I'm not quite sure when we'll see y'all again, but we will see y'all again, man. Hey! I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants fan. That's MACDA Giants fan.